Hello, 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 friends. Welcome to this brand new spanking episode of Dateable Podcast. For a second, I was like, we're doing Dateable, right? Not Brunch Talk. We're doing Dateable today. Had to rethink that one. Vacation brains, but we are back. And these are not pre-recorded earlier. These are recorded in the normal cadence. So it's nice to see everyone or hear everyone, kind of.
Yes, and I have been holding out asking Yue all the details about the trip because I was like, I want to hear on the intro. It's not that I knew where you were going. I think you need to start with the fact that your surprise was blown before you got there. But... Yes,
I will be taking this up to the PR department at United shortly before we left for our trip, which it was supposed to be a surprise until I got to the airport. I think it was 2 days before I got an email from United saying, get ready for your trip to Nice.
Yue sent me that. She's like, thanks, United. Now I know. Your boyfriend was really upset.
He was so upset. So what happened was he put in my mileage plus number for United onto my ticket.
I'm trying to help you out. Yeah.
But he didn't put my phone number, my email, none of it. And somehow in the system, it linked to my contact and it sent me the direct communication, which really sucks if you're trying to surprise someone, but you're also trying to get all their docs in order. He's the one that put in my passport information, like everything on the back end he did right, but United went ahead and still fucked it up for him. So, but it was only 2 days before the trip.
Thanks, United.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad, but he was pretty pissed because we were really hoping for that moment of going to the airport, being like, which direction are we going? But I was so excited.
It's like the rom-com that he envisioned. It just did not happen.
No,
basically.
A rom-com gone awry. Still, we had a lovely, lovely time. I have to say this was the most extravagant vacation I've ever been on. I have never been around so many rich, old money people in my life. And now it makes me just feel like, like being in San Francisco, you're around all this tech money and you see that lifestyle. Yeah. And then being in the French Riviera, you see this other lifestyle where you just stop and think, oh my gosh, like what else is out there for these rich people? How do they really live? We went on a yacht tour because, why not? There was a yachting festival. And we had to pretend that we were on the market for a yacht. And they asked us how big. And I didn't even know. I didn't even know how to describe how big the yacht I wanted. So I just said medium size. Apparently.
Oh my God. Giveaway that you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, they were definitely not, trying to be very attentive with us. But they still had to bring us in privately to tour the yachts, and apparently medium size for this particular company was about 70 feet. 70 feet is how medium translates in the yachting world, and it was huge. I mean, this yacht was bigger than my condo. It was bigger than my parents' house. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 2 living rooms, 1 full kitchen. Julie, you and I could throw some really, really badass dateable parties on this yacht.
I think that should be a thing. Dateable goes to the French Riviera. I love it.
Yes. Okay. On the Dateable yacht when we strike gold and we're going to get a yacht. So that was, the one part of it. And we had so much fun because we were just pretending that we were living this lifestyle. But the other part of this trip that was really amusing to me was this is something I just never really thought about before, is this generational wealth, this concept. Mm-hmm. And I would say most Chinese mainlanders in the U.S. have not experienced generational wealth. Because of the Cultural Revolution, a lot of wealth, assets, valuables were destroyed. And if you were caught with any of that, you would be punished. So a lot of Chinese mainlanders are under this impression of when you have assets and valuables, you don't spend it, you save it. Right. And seeing the generational wealth in Europe is something that it would take our the Chinese Americans here just so many generations to build, and we're just so behind in all of that. So it would dawned on me that I would never experience this sort of generational wealth in my lifetime. But I sure hope that if I were to have kids, I can start building that up for them, because it'd be nice to pass down a yacht or, I don't know, a Chanel purse, whatever, like it's all subjective, but it'd be nice to have something that was passed down in your family that reminds you of your roots and where you came from.
So what do you think? I want to get to the good stuff. What do you think was the most like romantic time on this trip? Because, French Riviera, south of France, 4-year anniversary. Like, I feel like that screams romance. Like, what would you say was kind of that highlight for you?
I really believe the most romantic time for me was just us strolling in the evening along the promenade, either in Nice or in Cannes. It was all just so beautiful, seeing the surroundings. There's something so sexy about the French Riviera. I don't know if it's like Brigitte Bardot or whatever those old time movies were like, but you just feel like you're in this lifestyle and you just want to, you want to walk in a different way, right? You're just like dripping in sex in some ways. And Julie, this is some of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life, who are so refined in the way they dress, in the way they speak. And I felt like such a fish out of water, because it was just like a whole... This classic look with their, silk pantsuits and, their beautiful hair. Everything was just so sexy and beautiful.
So did you know like all the places you were going to, or was that a surprise as you were going?
He gave me an itinerary when we got to the airport.
Okay.
So that was revealed the day of
God, so planned. Love it.
It was
Love
so
everything.
planned.
That's so sexy.
It was so beautiful the way he planned. He went into every little detail. He found the best hotels. He found the best ways to get to these hotels. And I don't understand the French Riviera at all. I've only heard about it in movies. I had no idea geographically how close these places were. So we just took the train to many of these places, or took a taxi, and I didn't realize it was just, they were all neighboring cities. And I also had no idea where the fuck Monaco was. Okay, we went to Monaco, the second smallest country, and we walked from France to Monaco. That's how close it was.
Yeah, because I kept seeing on like your Instagram, and obviously I was talking to you a bit too, of just like all the different places you were going to, and I'm like, damn, he's like really, packing them in. But that is something I've heard just in general about Europe too, is that like everything is so close that you can go way easier than, in the States and other places.
And once you start, you don't want to stop. And it's hard for me to be back in reality now, because you look on the map and you look at the train schedule and you think, wow, I could get to Paris in a few hours. I could go to Milan. I could go to Rome. And
I know.
So many other places you can go to. But I have to say, he did such a good job planning the 2 weeks. If anybody wants recommendations or itinerary, I'd be happy to send you ours, because we had a wonderful time.
I can't believe he did that all.
Yeah.
So he found like all the restaurants, all the hotels.
No,
like...
not that much credit. Okay. So he found all the basics, the basic needs, which is our housing and transportation. But everything else we kind of planned on the fly, which is kind of nice. And we just kind of, walked around the cities and explored as we went. But no, he did not find like every meal. That would have been too much.
I actually think that's better, because it it is still like a big trip, right, that you're on. You want to have like some say in it. So I actually think this is like the ideal amount of planning. One, it's easier. You don't have to do every last thing, but also it gives more collaboration and partnership.
Yes. And what if I didn't like the places he picked for our meals,
So that's, no, it's nice to like do that. Oh my God. I really commend him for all that planning. Like, it's really freaking amazing. Like, I think there's nothing sexier than a man with an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
Just
yes.
saying.
In the right way, right? In the right way, where there's room for flexibility, but also basic necessities are taken care of. So contrary to popular belief, we did not get engaged on this trip. I had so many people reach out and say, when is this happening?
I was definitely included.
And that's okay. I totally understand why people would think that, but we did witness a proposal. Yes, we did. Where were we? We were in, oh my gosh, I think we were in Nice. I think we were in Nice. No, Saint-Tropez. We were in Saint-Tropez. We witnessed this American couple. We were at a really nice restaurant, and this couple, all of a sudden, the woman started crying, and then she had a ring on her finger. It was a very interesting,
oh my God.
It was not a huge thing that they did, which I appreciate, but it was I don't know, it was just like very quiet the way he did it. And then she started crying, and then he went to the bathroom, and she spent the rest of the evening taking photos of her ring. So that's what we witnessed.
I'm not gonna lie, there was one post you did on Instagram where you opened a door.
Oh.
And I screenshotted it because I saw a ring on the finger, and I screenshotted it, and I asked my partner, and he's like, first of all, it's the wrong band. And second, and I was like, if she got engaged and this is how she told me, I'd be so pissed.
Oh my God. Girl, you be the first. Hello.
I know. That's what my partner was like. Wouldn't you be number one?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes, you would.
After your mom.
Yeah. Yeah. No, maybe even before my mom. Also, Julie needs to know everything.
This is how I found it on Instagram. Are you
you would be so fucking pissed. No, Julie needs to be the first to know. Let's just set the record straight. If anything big happened, a big announcement, Julie would be the first to know, because she'd be really pissed if she was not. Okay, so let's just.
Yeah, this isn't about you anymore, Yue. It's about me now.
let's set the record straight. Okay. So note that you would be the first to know, and maybe my mom would be second. Okay.
Okay,
that's how we rank order this. That's how we rank order this whole thing.
You know what, though? I mean, this is very in line with our episode today, right? The one that got away. And, I think when you hear the one that got away, you think it's, past partner. But Yue and I really geeked out on this TV show on Amazon Prime that did not get as much love as I think it should have been. I think it should have been The Next Love is Blind. I love that show so much. We were all I remember I started watching it with my partner, and I texted Yue, and then all of a sudden we're in a competition of who's further through the series. We were both really, it was one weekend that we binged the whole thing. I'm not sure what that says about both of our social lives, but we'll just go with it for now.
I'm proud of it. You gotta own it.
Yeah, exactly. And we, love this concept of someone from your past, right? Because a lot of the people on the show, the whole premise of the show is there's this set group of single people that are kind of the main people. And then there's this portal that brings in all these people from their past, and they get to rekindle things and see how it goes with someone that they maybe had this misconnection with. And a lot of the people were, someone that they maybe knew in college or knew in high school, or there was a few that they had they only knew from social media. Those ones I think were maybe scraping the bottom of the barrel a little, but a lot of them weren't. There were some exes. There definitely were some of those, but a lot of them were just these people that maybe you had a partner when you met them, and you just things didn't line up and timing didn't line up. And when you think back on it, I mean, the reason why, one, obviously it's the episode this week, but that is your story.
Yes.
You and your partner knew each other for, what was it, 8 years before? Wasn't it something?
Yes, 8 years.
Crazy like that? Yeah. And it's it just didn't line up because you two were in different places in your lives, maybe in a relationship that, the timing just never corresponded until it did. And it is quite the concept, because we're always looking for new people. We're always filling our funnel with brand new people. But what if we actually looked to our past? Maybe there would be some eligible people.
I 1,000% believe in that. And I think at a certain point in your life, you got to think, well, who are some people who've made a huge impact in my life, or who've made even a small impact, but that have made them memorable? My partner was always someone I remembered. He made an impression on me. And nothing big happened. Like, we didn't hook up, we didn't exchange phone numbers, but he just did this one thing that night we met that made me remember him forever. When he, in the middle of this club, you know, it's like midnight, he came over, he leaned down because he's much taller than me, and he said, "Are you having a good time?" And to me, I just felt like so taken care of in that moment. And it was very indicative of who he is now as a partner. He is someone who is very caring and takes care of me. But I just love this concept of thinking about the people who have made an impact on your life. And if you haven't watched the show, and you're probably wondering, should I listen to this episode? 1,000%. I think it would actually make it pretty fun for you to listen to this episode first and then go back and watch the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is such an applicable topic. And, you know, we also talk about, too, like, what's the difference of these people from your past where there are all these, like, commonalities versus people on the apps that are essentially strangers, and ways that we can also bridge the gap. So I definitely think this is, like, a no-brainer episode for everyone, whether you've watched the show or not. And, you know, like, I'm also happy that we have Vince and Eureka, who were two of the... I don't want to call them contestants, but I guess they were contestants.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like, what do you call people on the show? Like, contestants? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were an Asian couple. And I remember you texting me and being like, I'm so glad, like, the Asian guy is the heartthrob on the show. Like, what a freaking, like, and we definitely dive into that in this episode too, of just, you know, that isn't the norm, unfortunately. And it's such a great thing that this show totally normalized the leads being all ethnicities, of all sexualities. Like, there wasn't like one lead per se, but many that hit different diverse metrics.
Yeah, and he's so good looking. He's so wise and so introspective. He is, to me, the show portrayed him as the lead because he embodied what we're looking for in a partnership. And what will be very fascinating for everyone to hear in this interview with both of them is what compelled you to go on this show? What made you want to look for someone you've already met versus going on these dates with people that you don't know, these new people? And I think the moment for both of them will be something kind of eye-opening for many of you listening, and hopefully inspire you to think about what is going to compel me to look to my past.
You know, it's definitely one of those things. Like, I remember my mom always being like, what if you just go back to like your high school reunion? You never know who will be there, you know? And I was like, oh, there's no one. I was never interested in these people in high school.
Nope.
But I'm sure they've changed so much, right? Like, I've changed so much. I'm sure they're the same way. And, you know, actually, my mom's best friend's daughter, who I used to be friends with, I know there was a few connections, and she went to a different high school than me, but we knew each other in high school. And she actually met her now husband. They reconnected at a Starbucks, but they went to high school with each other.
They recognize each other?
And they never, they recognized each other, but there was never like a romantic connection in high school at all. But they recognized each other, and, you know, things progressed because we've all changed. We're later in life. We're looking for, I mean, I think I'm a totally different person than I was in high school. And I'm sure every single person in my graduating class is a different person.
Yeah. And especially now, people are on their second, third, fourth marriages. Like, you're getting in at a good time, you know, if you're in your 30s and 40s.
Exactly. Even if they were taken in their 20s, they're back.
They're back on the market.
But yeah, it's like college, high school, just people at jobs. Like, there's so many people you could pull from if you really thought about it, if you really think about it. I almost feel like it's a good exercise for all our single listeners to think back to different stages of life. And like, was there even, I love what you said, Yue, of like, was there someone that you like kind of stands out and you remember? But even like maybe the people you don't super remember, like just going through their Instagram or Facebook now and just being like, what are they up to? Especially if you live in an area nearby, but even if you don't, you never know who made it to your area.
Right. Yeah. And you'll hear this from Vince too. He did not see Eureka in a romantic way in high school. because he was always in a relationship. When you're always in a relationship, you don't see the people around you in that light.
No.
But then you can when you're single.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, there was this, when I first moved to San Francisco, I remember I ran into these two guys from high school. And I actually didn't even remember them because they were like a year younger than me, but they recognized me and came over. And one of them, I wouldn't say I had like a relationship with him, but we did like have kind of like a friends with benefits situation for a bit. And it never amounted. It was actually one of those rare friends with benefits that I like really didn't get feelings, and he didn't either. But I think because I was like in a new city, there was this familiarity about him that, you know, like really was comforting. And we talk about that in the episode too. But even if you didn't know someone well back then, having shared backgrounds or shared commonalities really does make it easier to bridge that future connection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. The most used pickup line is, do I know you from somewhere? You know, because people want to establish that baseline familiarity so your walls come down and hopefully you can connect on a deeper level. So this makes perfect sense as people from your past, even if you didn't know them very well, you already have that baseline of understanding.
Yep. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So, there's just so much to unpack here, but we will unpack it in this episode, so don't you worry. I guess before we go into it, you know, at Dateable Podcast, that's our Instagram handle. Join Love in the Time of Corona. That's always the place to be on the internet. And share this with a friend. You know, we've all had that one that got away, or the one we're still thinking about maybe a few years later. So share it with a friend. It's a great, sharing is caring.